Thank you, Mr.
Senator Hill, you're recognized to close on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to make one thing clear. There's nothing in my amendment that takes us back to the old standards that Mississippi had, but I want to go back to one thing that Senator Tolleson said real quickly, that the State Superintendent of Education and the Chairman of the Board made a public statement that said our old standards were among the worst in the country, and this is the public statement. And I want to call your attention to what I'm going to ask to be put on the screen as I close. This is a paper from the Mississippi Department of Education talking about the alignment of English Language Arts, Common Core, and the old Mississippi frameworks, and you can read it for yourself. It says overall alignment is good. Few specifics in the Common Core are not addressed, and the Mississippi ELA frameworks are not addressed at the same grade level. Many of the Mississippi frameworks, objectives, and sub-objectives are not mentioned in the Common Core, and rigor is comparable. So, am I going to trust the Department of Education that's put out both of these statements? Which way is it? Are they the worst in the nation, or are they great and comparable to Common Core of similar rigor? Which way? Because we've got statements with their letterhead that are 360 degrees apart, okay? So do they know what Common Core standards are? That is my question. So I'm asking you to put this in the hands of experts from the state of Mississippi like it should have been done to begin with, instead of taking these standards from a group of politicians and a group of hand-picked people that have never written standards before. Many of them had never, ever had any experience writing standards. So if you want to trust the experts, vote for my amendment. If you want to trust somebody that puts out snake oil, then vote against my amendment.
Senator Jordan, for what purpose do you see recognition?
I have a question for
Senator Hill, do you yield for a question from Senator Jordan?
Yes, certainly.
Senator Jordan, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hills, you agree that educators in our school system run them more efficiently and know more about education than just the general public. Will you agree with that? Do you not have any confidence in the State Superintendent of Education and the State Board of Education that is established by the Constitution of this state? Do you not have any confidence in their ability?
I don't say that I don't have any confidence, but on this subject, I think that we have compelling evidence that they did not act with responsibility in making the decision that they made initially on Common Core, nor did they act responsibly in putting out documentation that contradicts themselves with regard to these standards. And I believe that their talking points do not match their board minutes as to why they adopted it to begin with, because it's clear.
Is that your opinion, or have you?
That is absolute. I just showed you the fact.
I don't know about that. I don't know where you got that from.
I got it from the Department of Education. It's got their letterhead on it. It came out of a book that they gave me.
I don't mean to disagree with you, but
yes.
The State Department of Education and the board is authorized by the Constitution of this state. And for years and years, they have been running the educational system.
That's right.
Now,
I would agree.
may I finish?
Certainly.
May I finish? Now, you're coming up with some new ideals that you've gotten from some psychologists that we know nothing about, and you think that they ought to be what we adopt. But let me tell you something. If you look at the history of this state, there have been other folk, politicians, as you say, meddled in education, going back to Governor Bilbo, I believe. And then Governor Winters had to come up and organize education and put it in the hand of educators and let them do the responsibility. So you have influenced people, don't know enough about education, trying to run this district. Turn it over, designate it as the chairman. That's one thing that Senator Tolleson and I agree with. Let the educators run it.
The commission?
Just 1 minute. Okay. Let the education run it. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes.
Because everybody, just like a nose, everybody got a nose and everybody got an idea.
Yes, sir. Would you let me answer about the question you just asked?
Yes,
I do agree that the educators
I'm sorry, carry on. Education is so compassionate
yes,
to me.
Yes, sir. I agree, and I applaud your compassion, Senator Jordan. I know you were a former teacher, as and I think we both.
I think I taught 25 or 30 years longer than you did.
You certainly did, and I don't disagree with that. I do agree that the educators ought to make the decision, and this advisory panel that we will creating in this bill is a panel of education experts from this state. And that is certainly what I intend to do, is to turn it over to the experts in this state to make a final decision. That's what this amendment does. It empowers the educators on this commission. And I think you added some extra teachers to the commission in committee, did you not, sir?
I don't know what they did in the committee.
I think I took your amendment and put it before the board and before the committee, and we added, I think, 4 more teachers or 5 more teachers.
Trying to better a worse situation in the committee. That's what I was trying to do. I don't know if it was able to do that or not, but I recall.
I think we want the same thing, Senator Jordan. I really do.
We do, but let me finish. I'm compassionate with the 500,000 students in the public school system. I don't think we ought to be dangling around. Let something work for them. They can do what we say they can't do. They can handle it if we teach it.
Senator Jordan, I agree with you. I have a grandbaby in public school. I agree with you.
But for God's sake, allow the people and the State Board of Education and the appointed board to work together and do what they need to do to educate our children and get us off the bottom. I don't like being on the bottom.
I don't either, Senator Jordan, and I need to tell you this. I have one son that's 28 years old, educated in Mississippi, that works out at Stennis Space Center. I have another daughter that's a sophomore at USM in biochemistry that's a 4.0. So the last thing that I want to do is take this state back. I want to make sure that other children can compete like my children can compete.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I have 4 children. 2 of them are medical doctors, if that means anything.
Yes,
and they came right through the system. That's why I say allow the system to work. Don't micromanage it. Don't try to micromanage it. Allow it to work and encourage students to burn the midnight oil to measure up to the standards. All we talk about is standards, but they have to burn midnight oil in order to reach the standards.
Senator Jordan, there were about quite a few states that had standards superior to the Common Core prior to their adoption. And that is what I would hope that this commission would come out with, are the standards that were superior to Common Core for the state of Mississippi.
Senator, ma'am, lady, allow it to work.
Certainly, Senator Jordan. That's why I'm asking you to support the commission.
Thank you very much.
For the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? If not, the question recurs on the adoption of the amendment. Question recurs on the adoption of the amendment. Takes 6 to get a roll call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Blunt, Browning, Bryan, Burton, Butler to 36, Butler to 38, Carmichael, Chazanall, Clark, Collins, Dawkins, Doty, Fillingham, Frazier, Gandy, Galat, Hale, Harkins, Hill, Hobson, Horn, Hudson, Jackson of the 15th, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 32nd, Jolly, Jones, Jordan, Kirby, Lee, Longwoods, Massey, McDaniel, Montgomery, Moran, Norwood, Parker, Parks, Polk, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Smith, Sojourner, Stone, Tyndall, Tollison, Turner, Ward, Watson, Wiggins, Wildman, Younger, Bryan, Fillingane, Harkins, Hudson, Simmons of the 12th, Tyndall, Wiggins, voting yes or yay, Collins, Fillingane, Gandy, Hill, Hudson, Jackson of the 15th, Lee, Massey, McDaniel, Parker, Smith, Sojourner, and Watson. Voting no or nay, Blunt, Browning, Bryan, Burton, Butler to 36, Butler to 38, Carmichael, Chazanall, Clark, Dawkins, Doty, Frazier, Galat, Hale, Harkins, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 32nd, Jolly, Jones, Jordan, Kirby, Longwoods, Montgomery, Moran, Norwood, Parks, Pope, Simmons of the 13th, Stone, Tyndall, Tolleson, Turner, Ward, Wildman, and Younger.
On amendment number 2 to Senate Bill 2161, by a vote of 13 yeas, 37 nays, the amendment fails. We're now on final passage.
Suggest use of morning roll call on final passage.
Use of the morning roll call has been suggested for final passage. Is there any objection? Is there any senator who wishes to be recorded as voting no? Please record Senator Stone, Senator Blunt, Senator Horn, Senator Simmons, Senator Kelvin Butler, Senator Frazier, Senator Kenny Wayne Jones, Senator Norwood, Senator Robert Jackson, Senator Dawkins, Senator Jolly, and Senator Jordan, and Senator Sampson Jackson, and Senator Bryan, and Senator Albert Butler, and Senator Angela Turner as voting no. Please record Senator McDaniel as voting present. Please record Senator Watson as voting present. Please record Senator Sojourner as voting present. Please record the rest of the Senate as voting aye, and the bill is passed. Senator Burton, I'm going to recognize you for a motion.
Mr. President, I move the Senate stand at recess, subject to call of the chair.
Motion is we stand in recess, subject to call of the chair. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. The ayes have it. We're in recess.